Hello and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you are new here. Today I'm already wearing it because I just couldn't even wait. I'm going to show you how to make this exact shirt that I am wearing right now. It is this warm fall shirt with these loose mesh bell sleeves, and we have a gorgeous square collar here at the top. I am so very proud of this pattern and I cannot wait to share the tutorial with you. So I'm going to keep this intro very short. I'm just going to say the basic. Please subscribe. Please like this video. Your love and support means so much to me. So I'm going to leave you with just that super short intro and we're going to jump right into the tutorial because I cannot wait to show you how to make this. For today's tutorial, I am using a weight 4 yarn from the company Big Twist, which I've actually never tried this yarn before. So I'm going to go ahead and put on the screen here whether or not I did like this yarn before I recommend it to you to use for this project. So for the body of the shirt, I'm going to be using these two gray yarns. And then for the sleeves, I'm going to be using this reddish orange brown like fall type color. And I am also using a 5mm crochet hook for this project. So I'm going to go ahead and get my first color of yarn, which is going to be the color for the torso or the body portion of the shirt. So I'm going to take my gray yarn here and I'm just going to start by casting on. Now we're ready to go ahead and start with our first chain. And this chain needs to reach from about the top of your chest, sort of right under your arms, to the bottom of your torso, right at your waist, or however long you want your shirt to be. I'm going to go ahead and chain 57. Okay, here's 54, 55, 56, and 57. So there is my entire chain completed, and this is the perfect length for the shirt I want to make. So now we're going to be making just a simple long panel, and this panel is just going to wrap all the way around your torso and sort of create a tube top. This is the easiest part of the entire tutorial, and it's also going to take you the longest to complete because we're just going to make one giant panel. So we're going to be completing this in just simple single crochet. So I'm going to go ahead and just do a row of single crochet all the way down this entire chain. Okay, so I've now completed my very first row here of the single crochet, and now I'm just going to repeat this same process for many more rows. You're just going to keep doing multiple rows of this single crochet, just working back and forth, and you're going to keep going until you have a panel that is long enough that you can wrap it entirely around your torso and it connects in the front. So if you wrap it around your back, you should be able to hold both ends together snug in the front, and you should still be able to breathe, like it shouldn't be too tight, but also not super loose. So you're just going to keep going until you have that comfortable fit all the way around your torso and your chest. And so now I'm going to go ahead and continue doing these rows until I have completed the panel, and I'll see you once I'm done with that. So once you have made that entire panel long enough that you can wrap it around both your torso and your chest, and you can hold both ends together without having to stretch the panel too much, the ends should come together right in front of your body. So once you've made it that long, then we can go ahead and secure it into more of like a tube top shape. So I'm going to take my panel here, which I have completed, and I'm just going to fold it in half, and then I'm going to go ahead and chain one, and now we're going to be slip stitching all the way up this side of the project here. We're going to be attaching both sides together. So I'm going to be slip stitching by picking up just one loop on each side. So instead of picking up the entire stitch on both sides, I am picking up just like the outside or the first loop on one side, and then the inside loop on the other side. And this makes it a little bit more of a seamless attachment. It keeps it from bulking up too much. And as I'm slip stitching, I'm keeping my tension very loose, and I'm just loosely securing these two sides together. So I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch all the way up the side of this project. And then once I have completed that, here I have the entire thing secured. I'm just going to go ahead and cast off. So I do that by chaining one, cutting my yarn, and then just pulling the hook through, securing the yarn in place. So here is the main body of the shirt completed, and now would be a good time to try it on quickly just to make sure it still fits perfectly. Make sure you can pull it over your head and your shoulders. It's not too tight. It's easy to get on and off. It's not too loose, because now would be the best time to add or take away rows if you need to. So make sure you try it on right now. And then when you do try it on, we're going to go ahead and mark the stitches for the sleeves. So I am marking these stitches on sort of the outside of my collar, almost where you would have like a tank top strap lay, where it's sort of on the outside of your shoulders. They're a bit further out than a normal shirt would be, because we are going to come back in later and add the collar and fill that in. So you want these straps to be sort of towards the outside. That way we have room to add more rows into the collar later. Here I have my stitch markers on either side. And now I'm sort of laying my project out flat like this. And then I went over to the other side and I went ahead and added stitch markers to what I thought was about perfectly in line with the stitch markers in the front of the project. So I lined it up to the best of my ability, added these stitch markers, and then I went ahead and I counted how many stitches were between this stitch marker and this stitch marker for the front of the shirt, and then how many were between this one and this one for the back of the shirt. I made sure that they were generally even. I also counted for here, sort of under the armpit area, from this side to this side, and then from this side to this side. And I did not have a perfect even number of stitches. I believe that the front here is like 37 and the one in the back is 38 or something. And I would say for this project, it really doesn't matter if you can't get it perfectly even. If you're like one stitch off, that is totally okay. But if you want to make sure it is perfectly even, then when you are making the body portion, when you're making that big panel, I would recommend counting how many rows you are making and make sure it's an even number. That way you can then have perfect number of stitches in between each of the stitch markers. Again, if you're like one off like I am, that is totally okay. It'll still look perfect. Now that I have my stitch markers in place and they are all generally evenly spaced, I'm going to go ahead and make the very first strap, and we're going to start on this side. So I'm going to insert my hook right next to the stitch marker here, right in that same stitch, like so. Now I'm going to bring that gray yarn back and just pull it right through. Then I'm going to go ahead and chain whatever number I need in order to comfortably reach over my shoulders from the front to the back of the project. I'm going to go ahead and chain 50, and I would guess that it's going to be a similar number for you. So just go ahead and chain 50 and then try it on and adjust as needed. Okay, so there is my chain of 50, and I'm going to go ahead and flip my project. So now we are facing this side with this other stitch marker. And I'm going to insert my hook right into the stitch with that stitch marker, like so. And then I'm just going to pick up this yarn, pull it through, and pull it through both loops, therefore slip stitching the chain to the other side. So now we have our little strap here, and this is when you should try on the project just to make sure that this is the right number of chains for you and it fits comfortably, which I already know that 50 chains is perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and add a couple more rows to this strap just to make it a little bit thicker and more secure. So in order to make these extra rows, we're going to be working out towards the outside edge of the shirt here. So off of where we just slip stitched that chain to our project, I'm going to insert my hook right into the next stitch. I'm going to do another slip stitch, just like so. I'm then going to rotate my project so now the chain is below our hook, so we can now work into the chain. And I'm going to go ahead and just begin placing one single crochet into every single one of these chain stitches all the way across to the other side. Okay, so now I've reached the end of the chain here. I've placed one single crochet into every single stitch along that chain. So now I'm going to go ahead and insert my hook right into the next stitch. So this is where our first stitch is. We have the chain coming out of that marked stitch. So right into the next one, I'm going to insert my hook and I'm going to slip stitch, like so. I'm then going to insert my hook right into the next stitch after that one and slip stitch again. We're now going to turn our work, and now just like before, I'm going to place one single crochet into every single stitch all the way along this strap here on our project. Okay, so I've now reached the very end again of yet another row, so I'm going to go ahead and insert my hook into the next stitch here at the body of our project, and I'm going to slip stitch, like so. And then again, insert my hook right into the next stitch and slip stitch. We're then going to turn our work and then do the exact same thing for yet another row. So we currently have completed 2 rows of the strap, and you're going to want to do 2 more rows. That way we have 4 rows all the way across. So I'm going to go ahead and whip out these next 2 rows in the exact same manner that I just showed you, and I'll see you once I'm done with that. Okay, so I've now finished up on the 4th row here for the strap, and I'm going to go ahead and just like before, insert my hook right into that very next stitch here at the body of our project, and I'm going to slip stitch, like so. So I'm now going to go ahead and cast off my work, so I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to cut my yarn, leaving a bit of a tail so I can weave it in later, and I'm just going to pull that yarn like so, securing it in place. So there is our very first strap completed. So there's one of 2 done. And now we're going to go ahead and do the exact same thing on the other side. So just like before, I'm going to find right where I marked that stitch, and I'm going to insert my hook right into the same stitch as that stitch marker. I'm then going to get my gray yarn and just pull that right through the stitch. And then just like before, I'm going to go ahead and chain 50, or whatever number you did for the other strap, you're going to chain the exact same number. And then you're going to do your 4 rows for this side, just like we did on the other side. So if you need a reminder, you can go ahead and watch back the other one, but I'm going to go ahead and make the rest of this strap off camera, and I'll see you once I'm done with it. Okay, so we have now completed our 2 straps here on the project. Now we're going to go ahead and do our 2 sleeves in a different color. So I'm going to go ahead and pick one of these straps, which I'm going to go with the one here on the right, and I'm just going to go right to the base where we connected that strap to the body of the shirt. And I'm going to insert my hook right into that stitch that connects the 2 together, right in this corner here, like so. So now you can see I have that hook inserted right in the corner where these 2 connect. And I'm going to bring in my rusty orange yarn, which is the color I chose for the sleeve. And I'm just going to pull that right through that stitch, like so. I'm then going to go ahead and chain 2. And so now looking here at the body or the torso of the work, I'm going to skip this first stitch here, and then I'm going to insert my hook into the next stitch. So I'm 1 stitch off from where the strap is attached to the body of the work. And I'm then going to just slip stitch this together. And now I'm going to flip my work again, chain 1, and then working into the strap of the work, I'm going to skip this first stitch here, and then right into the next one, I'm inserting my hook, and I'm going to place a double crochet, like so. So now if you look at it like this, we essentially made a box. So we have our little chain 2 here, flush with the body of the work, our chain 1, and then our double crochet, making this perfect box in the corner of the strap and the torso portion here. So now I'm going to chain 1, and then again I'm going back to the strap. I'm going to skip this next stitch, and then right into the one after that, I'm going to place a double crochet. Again, I'm going to chain 1, skip a stitch, and then into the one right after it, I'm going to place a double crochet, chain 1, skip a stitch, into the one after it, double crochet. And I'm going to repeat that same process of chaining 1, skipping a stitch, double crochet, all the way down this side of the strap until I reach the other side of our project. Okay, so I've now completed that very first row of double crochet all the way across the strap here, and I've reached the other side of our project. So I'm going to go ahead and just chain 1, and now looking here at the body of our project again, I'm going to skip this first stitch. So if we look at where the strap is attached to the body, off of that I'm going to skip this stitch here, which is the first one off of the strap, and then I'm going to insert my hook right into the stitch after that. And then I'm going to pick up that yarn and slip stitch this to the body of our project, like so. And now I'm going to go ahead and chain 2, and then I'm going to skip the next stitch here, and then the one right after it I'm going to slip stitch, securing that chain down flush with the body of the project. I'm then going to chain 1, and now I've turned my work so that way I can work right into this row again. So I'm going to go ahead and place a double crochet right on top of the double crochet of the previous row. And I'm going to chain 1, and again insert my hook right into that previous double crochet and place another double crochet. Chain 1, double crochet on top of the previous one, and chain 1, double crochet. And you're just going to repeat that process all the way along this row, all the way back to the other side of the shirt. I have now finished that second row of our double crochet. So now going back here to the body of our project, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to skip 1 stitch off of this last slip stitch here. So I'm skipping 1 stitch, and then the one right after it I'm going to insert my hook and slip stitch, like so. I'm now going to chain 2, and I'm going to skip the next stitch, and then the one right after it I'm going to slip stitch to bring that chain flush with the project. I'm then going to turn my work. I'm now going to chain 1, and then I'm going to go ahead and place that double crochet right on top of the double crochet of the previous row, like so. Chain 1, double crochet on top of the previous double crochet, and then work my way all the way back again to the other side. So then I went ahead and did about 3 more rows in that exact same manner, and I did secure the rows to the body of the shirt in the same way I showed you. So now I'm at this point here where I finished that last row and I'm ready to slip stitch back onto my project. But as you can see, we are currently very close to the other side of the same row. And so typically I would just skip this one stitch and then slip stitch right into the next one. But because right after that next stitch is our next row, I'm instead just going to skip both of those stitches, insert my hook right into the same stitch as this other side of the row, and slip stitch that together, like so. So now we have this complete circle that is formed, and we can begin working in a round. So I'm going to chain 3, like so, turn my work, and so now I'm going to place a double crochet right into the double crochet of the previous row, just like before. Again, chain 1, double crochet right into the one of the previous row, and I'm going to repeat that all the way around this entire row. Okay, so now I'm just placing my last double crochet right here. And what I would typically do is just chain 1 and then slip stitch back into the body of the project. But because there's no spaces left and we are now flush with the other side of this row, instead I'm going to go to that chain 3 that we made at the beginning of the row. I'm going to insert my hook 2 chains up from the bottom. So we should have 1 chain on this side, 2 chains on this side. And I'm just going to slip stitch this together, like so, which now we are indeed working in a perfect round. So to begin our next row, I'm going to chain 3, turn my work, and now I'm placing a double crochet right into the double crochet of the previous row, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. You already know how that works, and I'm going to go ahead and do that all the way around this row. And so now I am reaching the end of this row, so I'm going to place my last double crochet right into the one of the previous row. I'm going to chain 1. And now here we have that chain 3 of before. So just like before, I'm going to insert my hook right into that second chain, like so, and slip stitch together, completing yet another row. So then we chain 3 again, like so, turn our work, and then you're all set to do yet another row, just working around on the sleeve. So I went ahead and did a couple more rows in the same way that I just showed you, just working in a round. And right now it looks a little bit like a short sleeve top, but you can see it is indeed a distinct sleeve. And this would be a good point to try on your shirt again and just make sure that when you are wearing it, this fabric here doesn't bunch up under your arms, just to make sure that you do indeed have a good fit before we commit to the entire sleeve. So I tried it on, I'm very happy with the way this fits, and now I'm going to go ahead and commit to doing the entire sleeve, which I'm going to keep doing these exact same rows. I'm just working it around. I'm going to continue doing that all the way until the sleeve reaches about my elbow, maybe just right above my elbow. But I'm going to work all the way down to my elbow, and then we can start increasing and creating the bell sleeve portion. Here is my sleeve completed. So I have now done 22 rows from the start where the strap is here all the way down to where I have left off. And when I try this top on, it does rest right above my elbow, which is perfect. So whatever number of rows you did to get the sleeve to rest right above your elbow or right at your elbow, you're then going to write that number down, because you're going to need to do that exact same number of rows on the other side. So in order to remember that and to make sure you have even sleeves, you want to just write that number down. So I wrote down 22 so I remember for next time. And now we're going to go ahead and begin increasing for the rest of the sleeve so we can get that wide open, like bell shaped sleeves. So I'm going to begin a new row like always. I'm going to chain 3 and then turn my work, and then place a double crochet right into that first double crochet stitch. And now we're going to do our very first increase. So I'm going to chain 1 and then double crochet into the exact same stitch that we just placed a double crochet in. So we have 2 double crochets coming out of just 1 stitch, which is an increase. So I'm going to go ahead and mark this spot here with a stitch marker, and I'm going to make sure I am marking the second stitch of the increase. So this one here on the left is getting a marker. And now I'm going to go ahead and on the opposite side of the stitch marker, I'm going to pick one of these stitches, whichever one I feel like is exactly in line with the stitch marker. So I'm going to pick this one right here and I'm going to mark this stitch. And then you're going to go ahead and count and make sure that you have the same number of stitches on this side as you have on this side so that the stitch markers are evenly placed, which again, if you are only one stitch off, that really is not a big deal. It's okay. You can just continue and go ahead with that one incorrect stitch. So now that we have our other stitch marker in place, I can go ahead and just do our normal chain 1, double crochet all the way until I reach that next stitch marker. Okay, so here I've reached our second stitch marker, and that indicates that we need to do another increase. So I'm going to go ahead and place our first double crochet right into that stitch. And then I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to place another double crochet right into the exact same stitch, therefore making an increase. And now, just like before, I'm going to remark this stitch so I remember I want to increase again in the future, and I'm going to mark the second stitch, so the one furthest to the left, like so. And that's all there is to it, so now I can just go ahead and finish off this row. So now at the end of my work, like always, I'm going to slip stitch right into that second chain, like so, chain 3, and turn my work. So now I'm all set for another row. And now for this next row, we're just going to do the entire row without any increases. So you're just going to do that chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, all the way around without increasing in those stitch markers. You're only going to increase every other row. So because we increased last row, this row we're just going to do a normal round, and then the row after that, you're going to increase again where you marked those stitches. And you're just going to keep doing as many rows as you want to until the sleeve is the length you want. And remember to keep track of how many rows you are making, because you're going to need to do the exact same number of increased rows on the other side. So I'm going to go ahead and work on this sleeve, increasing every other row until it reaches my wrist, and I'll see you once I'm done with that. So here is that finished sleeve. I went ahead and did another 22 rows with the increase in every other row. So now you're going to use the exact same method that I just walked you through to make this sleeve, to make yet another sleeve on the other side here. So now we've got both of our sleeves added to the shirt. And once you try it on, you may notice that the sleeves do not like to stay up. The straps on your shoulders are going to fall down because they're weighed down by all of the yarn we used to make the sleeves. And also you may notice that the collar portion is quite low, lower than what a normal shirt may sit at. So we're going to go ahead and fix the collar now. We're going to raise up the portion of the collar a little bit, and we're also going to secure it so that the sleeves do not fall off of your shoulders anymore. So we're going to do this by picking which side is going to be the front of the shirt. So this is going to be the front of my shirt, and then this is my right sleeve. So I'm going to start on the right sleeve at the front of the shirt, one stitch away from where the strap is connected originally to the shirt. I'm going to insert my hook, like so, and then I'm going to bring back my gray yarn, or whatever color you used for the body of the shirt, and I'm going to go ahead and pull that through, and then I'm just going to chain 1 to lock it in place. And so now looking at where we have the strap attached to the body of the shirt, we have this stitch here where it is connected to the strap, and then we have that very first stitch of the strap, and it makes kind of like a corner right here. We're going to skip that entire corner. So we're going to skip these 2 stitches here, and then place 1 single crochet into the stitch right after it, like so. And now you're going to go ahead and just single crochet into every single one of these stitches, all the way across the strap until you reach the other side of the shirt. And so now I have reached the other side, and here I am leaving this 1 extra stitch before we reach the body of the work open, because just like before, we've got that little corner there, the 1 stitch of the strap with the 1 stitch of the body of the shirt. And we're going to skip both of those stitches and just go right to that 3rd stitch there. And what this is doing is kind of cinching in the corners and making it a crisper edge, which is going to help to hold the strap up more securely on your shoulder. And now we're going to go ahead and place a single crochet into every single one of the stitches along the top of the shirt here until you reach the next strap. So each one of these stitches gets 1 single crochet. Okay, so I've now reached the end of that row, and just like before, we have those 2 stitches, the one that makes up the strap here and the one that is on the body of the shirt. And I'm going to skip both of those stitches and go right into the 3rd stitch here, like so, and single crochet. And then once again, you're going to place 1 single crochet into every single stitch all the way along this strap until you reach the other side. And then just like before, we have those 2 stitches that make up the corner there, and we're going to skip both of those stitches and go right into that 3rd stitch and single crochet. And now lastly, we're going to place 1 single crochet into every single stitch all the way across the front of the shirt until we reach right where we started with this row. And now I'm right back where I started, and so I'm going to insert my hook right into that stitch I started on, slip stitch, chain 1, and then turn our work. So there is our first row completed all the way along the collar, and you're going to do as many rows as you want to until the front of the collar here comes up high enough on your chest that you're happy with it. So I'm going to do about 4 rows is what I found works best. If you do have it at a height you like and the sleeves are still loose, they're still falling off your shoulders, do not worry, because once we're done with these rows here, I'm going to add some extra rows and show you how to extra tighten in those sleeves and keep the straps from falling. So your main focus right now is just how tall do you want the top of the collar to be. So I'm going to go ahead and do another 3 rows or so of the same exact process of just single crocheting all the way around. And then just remember that anytime when you're doing these rows, you come across a corner here where the strap connects to the body of the shirt, that you're going to want to skip 2 stitches in order to further cinch in the collar. So we're going to skip these 2 stitches here that make up the corner, and right into that 3rd stitch I am placing a single crochet. And you're going to want to do that in every single corner for all the rows you do on the collar. So I've now finished my 4th row of the collar, which brings the front part of the collar up to the height I want it to be. So now we're going to focus on just bringing in the sides and then bringing up the back. So instead of working in around, we're going to work sort of back and forth. So I'm going to go ahead and skip this next stitch here of the body of the shirt, and the one right after it I'm going to slip stitch, like so. And I'm going to turn my work, so that way I can work my way right back on the same strap that we just came down from. And now just like before, I'm going to skip these 2 stitches here and then place my very first single crochet right into that 3rd stitch, like so. I'm then going to single crochet on every single stitch all the way down to the other side of the shirt. And now I've reached the other side where we have that corner, and I'm going to treat this no differently than we did those other rows, where I'm just skipping these 2 stitches that make up the corner and single crocheting here, and then we're going to go ahead and place a single crochet in every single stitch along the back of the shirt over to the other strap. And then once again right here at the next corner, we're going to just skip these 2 stitches, place our hook right into that 3rd stitch, single crochet, and then work our way across back to the front of the shirt. And so now I've reached the end of this strap here on the left side of the shirt. So now I'm faced with the front of the collar, the front of the shirt here, and we are not adding any more rows to the front of the shirt. And so in order to rotate this row so we can begin working our way right back the way we came, I'm going to skip those 2 stitches, and instead of placing a single crochet, I'm going to place a slip stitch, like so, securing that down to the body of the shirt. And then you're going to go ahead and slip stitch right into that next stitch as well, and then turn our work. And now we're all set to begin our next row. So I'm going to skip those 2 stitches and then single crochet right into the 3rd one. And now we're working our way right back along where we came with our 2nd row here of the collar. And you're going to work all the way along this sleeve and then skip those 2 stitches in the corner, work all the way along the back here, skip those 2 stitches, work along this sleeve, and then you're going to do that same thing where you slip stitch right into here and then turn around and work your way all the way back. And you can do as many rows of this as you want to until the collar fits you perfectly, until the sleeves come in at a point where they stop falling down or slipping on your shoulders. I think I'm going to probably end up doing about 5 or 6 rows. So just go ahead and follow this exact same method all the way along until you have completed the number of rows that you want for your project. So here is the finished collar, and you can now see that the back portion here is taller than the front portion, which is perfect. And I ended up doing 5 additional rows onto the sides and the back, and this fits me perfectly. I'm really happy with the way this turned out. So I'm going to go ahead and cast off now. I already slip stitched back down to the body of the shirt, so this whole row is now securely attached. And now I'm going to go ahead and just chain 1 and then cut my yarn and pull that through to cast off. Now the final step you have to do is weave in all these loose ends. And here is the finished piece, as I already showed you in the beginning of the video, because like I said, I could not wait to wear it. So I really hope you like the way that yours turned out as well. As always, if you post any pictures of them, or if you just want to show me what it looked like, then do so by tagging me in any pictures you post or sending a picture to my DMs on Instagram. I love to see the color combinations you guys come up with. I want to make this shirt in so many different color combinations. I'm gonna have to make a bunch more of shirts like this. A couple customization options that I was considering doing to this pattern, but I opted not to. I'm gonna throw them out there in case you want to do them to your shirt. Is you could take the color of the sleeve and add a little strip of that color around the collar, and then also to the bottom of the shirt here, just to add a little bit more pop of color to the shirt. You could also crochet like a little star or a heart or just some little knick-knack out of crochet and sew it right to the chest of your shirt, or you could go in with some yarn and a needle and embroider some kind of design to the front of the shirt. I think those two ideas would be so pretty, and if you do end up doing any of those, please share it with me because I really want to see how that would look. I was really tempted to do those to this project today, but I decided just to leave it as a plain canvas so you can customize it however you want to. So thank you so much for watching this video all the way through, and thank you for subscribing and liking this video and commenting if you did any of those. And if you did not, then just thank you for being here. I always like it when you guys come hang out with me for a little while. I actually have a crochet vlog video I'll be posting soon about the design process, the behind the scenes of making this shirt. So if that interests you, then make sure you stop back in about 2 or 3 days when I'm posting, or just go ahead and turn on post notifications. That'd be a lot easier. And I will see you again in a few days with that vlog, and then I'll see you in a few days after that with some more tutorials. So I'll see you soon. Have a great fall, and goodbye.